Is it actually live? Let's see. See if I can manage this. I haven't done this in so long. What I'm about to say seems so weird. But welcome back to my channel. It's an Amber thing. I am Amber. It has been, what, years, quite a few years. I made a short the other day, and that was with regards to the new light and some of, I don't know, maybe you could see some of my feelings there in that short about how I was feeling about the person who knocked on my door. But I just figured, you know, no time like the present to talk a little bit about it. I have had so many things that I have thought about coming, you know, and making a video about, and then I just am like, I overthink it, or I get too busy and I just haven't done it. And this time with this thing, something that I had a lot of feelings about, our topic, right? The topic that we have been talking about for years on this channel. And, you know, it's been a process of healing, or trying to heal. The reason for all of our conversations here on this channel. But I had to take time to process some of the feelings that I was having, because it was pretty intense. I didn't expect it at all, not at all. I had, you know, I stopped doing videos. I got really busy in my life. I have two boys that are in sports, so we're just busy all the time. So I haven't really kept up with like what's going on YouTube, what are the conversations that are being had, you know, what are the new things that are happening with the organization. Like I've just not at all. I haven't paid attention at all. So what day was it? It was Sunday. So Sunday morning, I'll just get right into it. Sunday morning, I got a knock on the door, and I said, you know, who is it? I always say, who is it, before I open the door, and nobody said anything. So I'm like trying to look through my peephole, and I couldn't really tell who it was. So I opened the door, and lo and behold, it was somebody who had been very, very close friend of mine when I was a witness. She, I studied with her when she was a kid, and we just kind of, you know, we were just so close. We had become so close, and we had been through a lot of different things together. And then, you know, that day happened when they announced your disfellowshipment from the stage, and everybody that you knew or thought you were close to is no longer there. It's like they're just not there anymore, right? They won't look at you. They won't talk to you. They could not even, you know, acknowledge your presence. So I was so surprised to see her at my door. And I noticed that she had a magazine and a, you know, something in her hands. And she's like, "You're probably so surprised to see me." And I said, "Well, you're probably so surprised to see me." And she says, "No, I'm not. I came here to see you purposely." And I was like, that's, you know, like I don't know what my reaction was, but it was probably something like, you know, what? Because, you know, I haven't talked to these people in ages. When was I disfellowshipped? I think I was disfellowshipped in like 2004. I think it was 2004. So 20 years, and now you're suddenly at my door. And please don't get me wrong, like this individual, I love her. But there's a lot of feelings that go with that because you're so close to somebody and then all of a sudden they don't talk to you and they don't acknowledge your existence, period. So there's hurt, and all of these feelings that go in there with mixed in with some of that love, right? So she says, well, there's been some new, and I'm sorry, I'm going to just stop and say, to this moment right now, I have not looked up to see what the changes are exactly. I have watched a couple of videos. I saw Marcus Vaughn, him and a woman talking about some of the changes. I didn't end up listening to the whole thing. I didn't have time to, but I get the gist of some of it. But I haven't gone to jaw.org. Like, I refuse to go to that website and click around or do anything. I just feel like I can't. So what I know about what the changes are very little. I also reached out to Vincent, and him and I had a conversation, a little bit. And I know he was busy, he was at work, but he took the time to talk to me, which I was super happy about because at the moment, I was very angry, sad, like all of these emotions going on. So I needed somebody to talk to. But back to where I was is, she's saying that, she purposely came to visit, and then she's telling me that there has been some, new developments, new light, whatever her choice of words was, that there was some new direction from the governing body, I guess, with regards to how things are to be handled with disfellowship people at this point. So my immediate reaction was that I broke down and I started to cry. I don't know why my reaction was that. I think it was just a plethora of different feelings that I had, all come to come and resurface, that I just haven't thought about, talked about, felt in a long time. And there's, some anger in there, but mostly a lot of sadness. And I think what I said first was, I'm so sad. No, I'm so happy to see you, but I'm so sad that it took a man on a stage somewhere to tell you it was okay to come and see me. And she started to cry, and I started to cry, and we hugged, and she tried to give me her literature and to invite me to the memorial. And I told her absolutely not. I said, I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate you, not my mom, not my family, but you being the first one to come and talk to me and invite me. Like, you being here means something to me. So I ended up inviting her in the house, and she came in, and we just kind of shot the shit for a little bit. We just talked. It was not about anything, Jehovah's Witness related. It was just more about, how are you? How is your family? Our families were very close. So I know all of her family, and, she knows all of mine. So we just, talked for a little while. And then I did at one point during the conversation, it dawned on me, because it didn't dawn on me, at that moment, I guess, like I was glad that she was there, but in my mind, it hadn't quite dawned on me yet that she was first and not my family. I think that part was kind of an afterthought. So it occurs to me that, she's sitting on my couch talking to me, but nobody else has reached out to me. And I guess, it was a Sunday. The news had come out like on a Friday, is my understanding. And I think my understanding is, or I think what's going on is, there it was on jw.org, and different people saw the information at different times, something like that. So I don't know if my family saw it like right when it came out or if they saw it at a later time or whatever. But in my mind, I was sitting there, and as she was talking to me, it dawned on me that she was sitting on my couch first, and that my mom hadn't even ever reached out to me, or ever as of that point. So if you are somebody who follows me and have watched my videos or sat with me during one of my live videos, you have seen me cry, the ugly cry, over situations with my mom, and how I feel about the disconnection of our relationship because of the organization. So as that thought occurs to me, I just start bawling, and it's just like all of this out of the blue. Nobody, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for this. I had come to a conclusion, a while ago, that I was okay, without this. And I mean, I'm always okay without the organization in my life. Let's be clear about that. But about, the family part. So, I verbalized something to her about that, and she knows my family. So later on, she ends up talking to my sister about, I guess, what I had said. But we finished our conversation. It was, more light conversation. She did mention that there had been some changes. She told me that men are now allowed to wear beards. Okay, cool. I didn't, come on. Who is any other man to tell another man that they can wear or not wear facial hair? Like, what? Okay, whatever. And that now women can wear pants to service or to the meeting, or, whatever. And I may be getting this wrong because I haven't looked at it myself. But that as long as they're presentable, that, it is okay for them to wear the apparel, that of their choosing. Okay. So she tells me that the organization is a much, much more loving place than it was at the time that I was a part of it. And, that it's changing so much, and, that I should really, come and give it a second chance. And I kind of looked down when she said that, because I was like, what do I say to this? Because I don't want to say the wrong things. I don't, at the moment I'm thinking I don't want to never see this person again. But I need to just say it. So I just put my head down and I just said, the truth never changes, though. The truth should never change. And she's like, oh, no, like, all of our doctrines are the same, and, yada, 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 whatever, that you're right. The truth never changes, but, we can do things to make people feel more comfortable within the organization. So we ended up, it had been about 15 minutes or so, and I kind of was done with the conversation at that point. As much as I love her, I couldn't anymore. So I stood up, she stood up, and we walked to the door, and she gave me a hug. It was a very, very long hug. We both cried, and she left. And then I was left with all of these emotions, all of this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, there were so many emotions and thoughts going through my head that I wouldn't really be able to repeat them all and be able to share them all with you, because I don't even know at this point. But my very strong emotions were really towards, like, my mom hasn't called, or my sister hasn't called. And I guess for me, I think to myself, if I was the kind of person that allowed somebody else to dictate who I talk to and when and for what reasons I talk to them, I would never be that person. But if I were, I think the very moment that I heard that I was allowed to contact my daughter, my firstborn child, the child that had been with me through everything, I would have called her first. Not a brother and sister down the street, not anybody else but my child. That thought didn't, I guess, occur to her. Or I don't know, maybe it did. I don't know, but I didn't get a call from her until Monday. Well, actually, I got a call from my sister first, and that was because the person who came to visit me and my sister communicate. And so in the endeavors of the person who came to my door trying to find me, she contacted my sister. And I guess my sister gave her my address, or I don't, whatever. They were in contact with one another. So when she left my home, she called my sister and shared with her, some of the conversation that we had. Which in part of it was, like, my sister's hasn't picked up the phone to call me. My mom hasn't picked up the phone to call me. So none of the phone calls that I got from my family, I feel like, were because they wanted to, but maybe more actually because at that point, they realized that I realized that they hadn't called. And then they started to feel like this maybe guilt. So I did get a call from my sister, and I my sister has always been in my life. We don't talk, like, I respect their boundary, and I don't reach out much. We have always communicated on our birthdays. We always, say, happy, trip around the sun, or, happy, I'm so glad you were born on this day. We always do that for each other every single year without fail. And if my kids have fundraisers, my sister always contributes, and, she tries to do what she can without crossing the boundaries that, obviously will get her into trouble. So I think it was really a lot less emotionally about her, because she will make herself, if I needed her, I could call her and be like, hey, I need to talk to you, call me now, or pick up, or whatever. She will. My mom, no, she won't. So it was really a lot less about my sister than it was about my mother. But my sister called and she apologized. She said that she was nervous to call me. And so when when this other person came to my door, or told her that they were going to come to my door, she thought, okay, well, this is good. She'll get the invitation to Memorial, and, it'll all be good. Like, I don't have to be nervous to call. I don't have to do that. Like, somebody else is going to handle that for me. So she did, she called, she apologized, and we talked, and, we got through it. And I told her, I said, please tell Mom that I don't want the call. I was so emotional with my sister. I was emotional with Teresa. And I just told my sister, like, tell my mom that I don't want her to call. Like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I can't, I'm not in this place right now. Like, I'm going through a lot of other things, like, with my children, with, my children's health. There's a lot of stuff going on that I just mentally and emotionally can't take one more of these conversations. So she's like, if you don't mind, I don't want to be involved with that. So, if you don't want to take the call, don't take the call. And if you do, then, go ahead and take the call. So it must have been an hour later, and my phone's ringing, and, it's my mom, and I didn't answer it. I didn't answer it. Like, I was pissed one in one hand I was pissed off, in another hand I was so crushed and sad, and in the middle of all of it, I have all of these plethora of emotions that are fleeting back to me that I just don't want to deal with. So a part of this I feel like is psychological warfare on the part of the organization aimed at the disfellowshipped. I mean, how could they just like, leave us alone and let us be? No, they want to torture us. Now they want to poke, they want to poke and bring up all these emotions, and they know they're not stupid. They know what they're doing. You can't even, yes, number one, they are suffering for numbers. They have to be. There would be no other possible way. Like, why else would they be? Now you can wear beards. Like, as another blue, let's wear beards now. And you can wear pants if that's what's most comfy for you. Like, yeah, they're losing money as people walk out the door, as people start to wake up and realize what a cult they have been involved with. They're taking their contributions with them. So, they have to do something. They have to do something. So, anywho, moving right along. I ended up, messaging my mom and just saying, hey, are you okay? Like, everything, everything okay? Everything good? Like, I'm in some meetings. I don't have time to answer the phone right now, but I want to make sure you're good. And so, she ended up saying, yeah, I just want to talk to you. Like, do you understand how weird that is at this point? And also, on the other hand, do you understand how much I wish that I just want to talk to you was a real thing? It's not. It's not, I just want to talk to you. I just want to see how you are. It's like, I am only allowed to talk to you if I'm inviting you to one of our events. So it isn't because you want to talk to me. It's because you want me to go back to the cult and be miserable again. I don't know. I'm sure that's not her thought process, is for me to be miserable again, because I'm sure her thought process is, I love you so much. I want you to be a part of this, thing that I'm a part of that I feel like is going to save your life. But, whatever. So, let's see. I let it go for that night because I just couldn't. So that was Monday. Today we're on Thursday already. Losing track of days. So that was Monday, and I have some stuff going on, like I said, with my son is going through some health things, and we're trying to make sure that everything's okay with him. So I had to, separate myself from those feelings with my family and the cult and all of that for a moment, and focus on some other things. But the next day, she told me, she said, I'll call you tomorrow before service. So I was kind of hoping that she would not, because, and the sad part is, I was hoping she would. I love my mother, and I would love to have a conversation with her about anything. Like, shoot the shit. Like, I saw, I don't know, something cool in the sky yesterday, or like, just whatever, about whatever. But so she calls, and I answer the phone, and I'm like, really tiptoeing, because what I know is that they're expecting for me to respond in a different, how do I say it? Like, they're expecting me to respond as the person I was 20 years ago. Because in their minds, I am who I was 20 years ago. So the person I was 20 years ago probably would have snapped, and not snapped, but, snapped at them and been like, no, no, thank you. Like, whatever. I just don't, I don't care about it enough anymore to have that response, which is very confusing for me to say because all I have is feelings about all this stuff. But I don't care enough about. I think I've grown to the point where I don't care whether the cult wants me or doesn't want me or what they think of me, and that's the part I've grown from. There's still lots of emotions, with regards to all of this, obviously, but so she says, hey, how are you doing, how are the kids? And I just told her we're doing amazing, we're doing great, everything's fine, how are you, hope you're doing well. She says, the reason I'm calling is because I wanted to invite you, and I know that you can't come here near, she lives in a different area of the state, a couple hours away. So she's, I know you can't come anywhere, where I am, but if you could find a local Kingdom Hall where you live, I would absolutely love it if you would attend the memorial. And that's the reason for my call today, is because it would greatly please Jehovah if you were to attend the memorial. And I just said, okay, thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it. And it was really nice to hear your voice. And I started to cry, like I didn't want to do right now, but it hurts my heart. I started to cry and a little bit, I really tried to hold it back because I just don't, I try to separate, all these feelings, and it's just difficult. But I said, thank you for the invitation. I never thought that I would hear your voice again. And she said, I know. And she's, telling me how much she loves me and all of this. And it's just so hard to believe somebody say that they love you and then act in a complete different fashion. So that was, that was hard. I also told her, like, oh, I had to, right? Because it wouldn't be me if I didn't say something. But I said, she said something about, my disfellowshipment or whatever, and I just told her, I'm not the same person that I was when that stuff happened. And I really find it unfair that I can't have made a mistake or a choice in my life that I don't have to pay for the rest of my life. I said, it's just like, when I was a little girl, if I did something, you would lovingly correct me, but you wouldn't make me pay for it for the rest of the year. It would be a discipline. I would learn from it and we would move on. And I said, I feel like that's how things should be, in a loving, in a loving, arrangement, as they would call it. Then, if there's a lesson that needs to be learned, then teach it and allow the person to grow and move on. Anyways, she, agreed that a punishment for a child shouldn't last forever, but this is different, and I was unrepentant, and blah 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 blah, and things could be different if I would just come back, and we could have this wonderful relationship. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, you don't have a wonderful relationship with me just because I'm not a part of your religion. Like, I don't know. We've been through this, and we've been through this, and As you know, we go over it and over it and over it and over it. But we end up ending, end up ending the call. We tell each other, I love you, I love you. And she tells me that I have something to look forward to. And I'm like, she says, I'm going to call you every year to invite you to Memorial. I'm going to call you every year. Thank you. And I sit here and part of me feels like a fucking asshole because I'm like, thank you. But the reality of it is, why can't you call me every year just to say, hi, I love you? Or why can't you call me once a month? Or, well, we all know why, right? We all know why, but these are the emotions and the things that you think about that, the part that makes it bittersweet, right? Very bitter and a little sweet because, I got to hear her voice again. And I honestly really, I didn't think that was going to happen. But, now it's like, I think about all of it and I think, when that statement is made from the stage that somebody has been disfellowshipped and you're no longer to have contact with them. And I understand some of the disfellowshipping things are changing too. Like you get talked to more than once. They get to decide over a course of time now whether or not you're repentant. It makes me upset. But I lost my train of thought. There's so many emotions going on. It's like I can't get them all straight. But this is what I'm going to say is that when that statement is made on stage that somebody's disfellowshipped and everybody that was in your life, right? They all can't look at you anymore. They can snicker about you, but they can't look at you anymore. They can't talk to you anymore. All of that. I'm sure. I've never been one to do it. There's been other disfellowship people when I was in the organization and I never could bring myself to be that fake and to not talk to them. Like and that's why I'm here now, right? Because I wasn't a follower. But I don't know what it feels like, but I could imagine that there's guilt that goes along with that. But guess what? They've absolved themselves from any guilt at this point because now they've gotten to reach out and they get to say, they get to invite you one more time. So then if you say no, it's on you. It's, they have no guilt. They're absolved of all of that. And I don't know. What are your thoughts? I'm sure there are so many of you out there that have had visits or phone calls or letters at this point. That's what the girl that came to my door, she said, I didn't want to write you a letter or just call you. I wanted to make sure I came in person. So I know that there's a lot of that going on. That's probably been part of the encouragement, right? Is to reach out in some way, shape, or form, whether it be in person, phone call, letter, whatever. But I'm really curious, how do you feel about it? Am I the only one who's sitting here pissed the fuck off, like, and then sad, and then like happy to hear somebody's voice, but like now I feel like a crazy person all over again because like I have all of these range of emotions like hitting me at the same time. Is that what it's meant to do? Was it meant to make me feel crazy? Because I'm kind of there. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I was, talking to Vinny and telling him, I feel so this way and that way. And he's like, don't let it get to you, and I appreciate that because sometimes you need to be told like, it's okay, like it's okay that you feel these feelings, but don't let it, take you down. And that's kind of like where I was at. Like, I was just like a mess. And the fact that I can sit here right now and kind of, laugh about some of it, cry about other parts of it, and, just say fuck off to parts of it is quite a feat for me, because I feel like it's showing some growth on my part. I feel like all the times that I sat in front of this camera and I talked about the things that I needed to talk about, not only for my own healing, but maybe to help somebody else out there, actually did help heal me a little bit. So I appreciate that. But I also do want to know, how do you feel? Tell me how you feel about it. I'm interested. I'd like to talk about it. So this just happened to be like me popping on real quick at the end of the day. I mean, at the beginning of the day, because my son, I have to go and pick him up for an appointment, and I just happened to have a little bit of time, so I thought I'd use it to talk. But leave me a comment. Let me know how you feel, and I'll pop on again, and we will have a conversation. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.